Hi, ESHS Psychology. Here is lecture 2, and we're going to get started. So last time we left off beginning the approaches to psychology. We left off with behavioral. What can I see in the environment that's going to impact behavior that I can observe? So the next approach we'll talk about today, and we'll just stop with all the approaches today, is the psychoanalytical approach. This is probably what is thought of or what people visualize when they think of psychology, when they think of psychiatry, um, kind of the talking about what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So the psychoanalytical is everything that I cannot see, right? It's these internal conflicts, these internal motives, these internal thoughts, and how that might impact our behavior. And this is typically the unconscious. Why am I behaving? Why am I making why do I have these certain behaviors that I don't really know what is causing them, or I don't really know why I do things. And all of that happening in my mind. This psychoanalytical approach was really made popular by Sigmund Freud, Freud being one of those popular names from psychology. All right, the humanistic approach really looks at how humans are inherently good, humans have good intentions. Humanistic approach to psychology is where you're going to find all of the personality theories to talk about the different types of personalities that people have, and how our various personalities affect how we feel, how we react, and how we make our decisions. The humanistic approach has its own famous psychologists. One is Abraham Maslow. And so his famous theory is this hierarchy of needs, this pyramid. So at the bottom of the pyramid is your basic physiological needs. Do we feel comfortable? Do we feel safe? Are we fed? So we have to have each level fulfilled before we can move up to the next one. So this is why, in schools, it's very important that we want to make sure that you are comfortable in the classroom, that you are not hungry, that all our students are able to get food. Because if you are hungry, then you're going to be very distracted and you're not going to be in the right state of mind to learn geometry and things like that. So this video clip is going to show you, run through that hierarchy of needs. There is some kind of um, a joke in there that's not entirely appropriate for a younger crowd.
Have you ever felt a need for friendship, confidence, or water? Then you've been on one of the many tiers in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In 1943, Abraham Maslow created his hierarchy. This new psychological theory put forth that each individual must satisfy ever-increasing needs to climb to the top of the hierarchy and reach self-actualization. This is Grog. Grog is about to climb Maslow's hierarchy. To do this, he must start at the first level and work upwards. He must start at Tier 1, Physiological Needs. At the bottom of the pyramid are the most basic physical needs. Individuals require things like warmth through the cold winter months. Everyone requires shelter to keep them safe from the elements. And then there are more intriguing needs that must be met. That a boy, Grog. Whittle that stick. Tier 2, Safety Needs. Individuals must feel they are safe. Safe financially, morally, and physically. Tier 3, Love and Belonging. The third tier is dedicated to love and belonging. Here, individuals look for a friend, some family, and sometimes that very special someone with which to spend the rest of their life. tier 4, esteem. Confidence, achievement, respect. These are some of the things one looks for while in the 4th tier. A good friend who understands can help an awful lot here. Tier 5, self-actualization. The self-actualized individual has climbed to the top of Maslow's hierarchy and reached a point in which they are comfortable intellectually, spiritually, morally, and creatively. Well done, Grog. Well done.
Okay, Maslow's hierarchy, an example of that humanistic psychology. So, moving on, the biological approach focuses on the chemical and biological processes happening within our body, how that is going to affect our behavior. So, the example that I think all of us can relate with at some point in our lives is in middle school. We typically think of middle school as a very rough time for many different reasons because our body was going through so many changes. So, a psychologist who comes from the biological approach would say that you kind of cringe when you think of your middle school memories and how you acted then because your body was going through your body and brain was going through this time of lots of changes. Therefore, your behaviors weren't something you would be doing now, weren't something that is typical of you anymore. Now, the evolutionary approach to psychology focuses on how those people change, people or animals change, and how we change for survival and reproductive success. So, with biological, it focuses on the natural occurring processes within our body and our biology. Evolutionary approach looks at how that might change over time. So this is evolution. So that's the difference between the two. Evolutionary is the changing of those processes. Biological is the normal, typical processes. The cognitive approach looks at how we process and store and use information, how we might process memories, how these things might impact our behaviors and our actions. That cognitive is basically how our mind operates and how our mind thinks. So there's a little activity here to test your cognition. So here we have 4 sets of 3 words. So if the one set would be house, lantern, and winter, your answer would be green. So I'll wait a little bit to say the answer, but if you want to pause the lecture, if you're trying to test yourself and really think, you can go ahead and do that. So I'll sit here and wait for a minute. Okay, the first one, jet, bird, and male, your answer is black. So jet, black, black bird, black male. Lie, egg, and Christmas would be white. White lie, egg white, and then white Christmas. Number 3 is blue, true blue, blue Hawaii, and blue moon. And this is kind of where you have the change, right? Number 4 is stick. So stick shift, stick up, and dipstick. And so now you have this shift. You're used to doing things one way. You have to kind of test your cognition and think a different way there with number 4. The pattern down here, it is when you know. I'll give you a minute to look at that. Try to think. Again, pause if you want to take a little bit longer. So this pattern is one you know, is one you're very familiar with. Both my children know this one. This pattern is numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the next one would be T10. So that's the pattern there. Okay. I think this should be the last one today. Yep. Sociocultural approach to psychology focuses on what is happening socially, what is happening within one's cultures that is going to influence our behaviors. The example I have, my link is broken and I forgot to get a new one in there, but I'll try to add a video clip there on Echo on the agenda later on so you can see that. Sorry that I forgot to fix this PowerPoint earlier. But again, this what is happening socially, what is happening culturally, that is going to impact our behavior. There is some overlap between the behavioral approach and the sociocultural approach with this as well, but we'll kind of get into the nitty gritty of that later. So that is the end of this video lecture 2. We should be done with all the approaches, and we'll start with the careers at a later class period. Thanks. Bye.